Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement took the Negro from a trying race to a crying race. Prior to his rise and prior to the rhetoric that we began to see in the Civil Rights Movement, it was cast down your bucket where you are. Put your hand to the plow. Nobody's going to give it to you. It's up to you. Joseph H. Jackson was famous for saying, it's up to men to be men.
It keeps me from being jealous of others. It keeps me from being lost in pride when I know there's something else I could do. More growth, more power, more strength. Lord, make me a better man. If you're not going to be men, braid your hair and start wearing step-ins. God has carefully made you and fixed you just right, and you're trying to change it. Let men be men.
But as King would come along in the interview, he was asked about these kinds of things. And he would say that, well, men can't be men because of housing conditions and because of this and because of that.
We haven't been men because of all of the conditions that we've lived with and the syndrome of deprivation surrounding conditions, whether it's in housing, in the economic area, or in schools, or in the vicious credit practices that we face in the ghetto, and all of the problems of closed doors and constant defeats.
He was giving every excuse as to why men can't be men. Think about how embittering that is. Think about how deflating that is as a young black man to turn on the television and you see the person who you're told is the leader of the Negro telling you that men can't be men because of X, Y, and Z. As you move into the 70s, the age of indulgence, I call it, you have not only the black militant movement that succeeded the civil rights movement, you also have second wave feminism, you have gay liberation, which would later become the LGBT movement, you have free love, you have the hippie movement, you have a lot of these things that are going on, which is basically the baby boomers who are coming of age rebelling against their parents' generation. And as a result of this, you see a decrease in marriage rates. And this was already happening. I mean, Daniel Patrick Moynihan wrote about it, this kind of downward trajectory that was happening, which is around the same time that King was kind of coming at the scene. I'm not laying it all at the feet of King. I'm just saying that this rhetoric, this kind of shift in mindset doesn't get as much attention paid to it as it ought to. If you're talking to black liberals, they blame it on systemic racism. Talking to black conservatives, they blame it on LBJ and the Great Society. I tend to agree more with the conservative contingent and the leftist contingent. However, King was actually far more radical than LBJ. LBJ's Great Society did a lot of negative things in terms of social welfare, but King didn't believe that it went far enough. So he started what was called the Poor People's Campaign, which was meant to go further than the war on poverty. And so we let our hands off the proverbial plow and we picked up the picket signs because we believe that those picket signs will get us the liberation we so desperately needed. We were interested in revolution as opposed to reformation. Reformation takes hard work, but in that hard work, there's a character building component. Whereas with your revolution, your sudden uprising is unsustainable and it will implode. You might get the facade of progress, but that progress will soon implode. And we're starting to see it. I mean, Dr. Carol Swain wrote about something similar, I think in 2005, where she saw the writing on the wall as this kind of emerging kind of fight back that we're seeing among certain white folks. Because to the extent that you instill this kind of spirit of being a protected class into blacks by way of the civil rights movement, what we saw happen as a result of this, in my opinion, is this kind of smug disposition amongst many blacks, this kind of freedom to be openly racist, which we see in a lot of instances today, this kind of race paranoia, seeing racism where there is no racism, I think is one of the results. And for a long period of time, many whites have been in a mode of flight, walking on eggshells around blacks so as not to offend. But now you're seeing a certain contingent of whites moving into an age of fight. They've had enough. And so you see some white people being openly racist, and especially if you're spending your time on X and places like that. The issue that we saw with blacks in terms of being on this kind of upward trajectory and then around the time of the civil rights movement plateauing and then going on this rapid decline is a result of a changing of the culture that exists not only amongst blacks, we see it amongst whites too.